voice to climate change, because we absolutely need that voice to be heard by you. And I'm begging to be heard, not just heard, but listened to. I am begging that you, as our government officials, make the public decisions for us, that you not just, like I said, listen to the will of the people, but also to what is best for the people, which the science is extremely clear on this issue. I'm begging, but I'm also standing here to try to help represent the hundreds of scientific societies and organizations, the thousands of scientists that have tried to communicate with you over the last couple of decades, trying to get your attention on this issue. And of course, why this is important in this particular arena is because this is why we have wind energy. This is why it's been subsidized. This is why it's such an important national issue. So I want to go ahead and hand off a stack of letters from organizations around the world, scientific organizations, national societies around the world, representing nearly 100 organizations, thousands of scientists that are literally begging to be heard. In 2001, joint statements from the Academies of Science of nations around the world said, "We urge everyone, individuals, businesses, and governments to take prompt action to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases." In 2006, the American Association for the Advancement of Science said, "The scientific evidence is clear. Global climate change caused by human activities is occurring now, and it is a growing threat to society." The International Academy for Medical Research, the Inter-Academy Medical Panel, they stated in 2010, "Climate change possesses a significant threat to human health. This threat can be decreased by mitigating its causes, particularly by reducing greenhouse gas emissions and adapting to its impacts." One that's very relevant to our local county, or our local residents and our economy, is a joint statement by the American Society of Agronomy, Crop Science Society of America, and the Soil Science Society of America. Okay, these are our farmers talking. These are the scientists representing our farmers. A comprehensive body of scientific evidence indicates beyond reasonable doubt that global climate change is now occurring, and that its manifestations threaten the stability of societies as well as natural and managed ecosystems. It goes on and on and on. Of course, now in 2018, 2019, the warnings are far more dire. They've been talking to us for a very long time. And unfortunately, when it comes to the political arena, it does feel like their words, their work, their science is falling on deaf ears. So I want to hand this forward to your commission as just some additional information for you. I asked you to bear with me a little bit longer. Albert Einstein once said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. But that's exactly what Montgomery County is trying to do. We cannot simply ignore the problems that we have today and try to go on with business as usual. If we want to address our economic issues, our development and population concerns, and our environmental problems, then we must change how we think in a big way. Wind farms are exactly the big and necessary change we need, and we need to embrace it right now. While it's not popular, I've been speaking before you on the subject of climate change for over a year now. But I'm not concerned with what's popular. I'm concerned about addressing the problems that society will face, the problems that our children will face, if we don't accept responsibility at the local level. We know that climate is warming, and we know that it's because of rising levels of carbon dioxide. We know that the extra carbon dioxide is from burning fossil fuels. We know that the amount of carbon dioxide in the air has increased by almost 50% since the Industrial Revolution. While carbon dioxide is certainly plant food, as some people point out, plants clearly cannot deal with the amount of carbon dioxide that we are putting into the air. There's a good reason for that. The same carbon dioxide that we are putting in the air today is the same carbon that was taken out of the air by the plants and algae that died to become coal, oil, and natural gas. It took millions of years for plants to capture all that carbon dioxide from the air and turn it into coal and oil, and yet we are putting it back into the atmosphere in just a few hundred years. When all that carbon got buried beneath the ground to help create the environment we have today. And now we are changing it back, and we're changing it rapidly. We have been experiencing clear and obvious signs of climate change for the last 20 years. On a global average, the last 5 years have been the warmest since such records began in 1880. Go back a bit further, 9 of the past 10 years have been the hottest on record. Going back further still, 27 of the past 30 years have been the hottest on record. Our Earth is getting warmer and warmer and warmer. Our winters are warmer, and we now seem to have more rain than snow. A white Christmas is not a safe bet. The results are all over the news. We see more frequent wildfires out west. We see larger, more damaging hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean. The Midwest is experiencing more frequent and stronger thunderstorms and consequently more flooding. By 2050, the ecosystems supported by the world's coral reefs and the Arctic sea ice are expected to collapse. While climate change is political now, it hasn't always been that way. Our first steps towards addressing climate change were under Ronald Reagan's administration, which introduced the U.S. Global Change Research Program in 1988. It became a presidential initiative under George W. Bush in 1989. Then in 1990, Congress mandated the U.S. Global Change Research Act, which passed the Senate 100-0. The U.S. government made the overwhelming bipartisan decision to commit to researching climate change with the goal of being able to understand and predict its impacts. They committed millions to research and to preparing annual reports to inform governments and elected officials around the nation. For the past 30 years, the U.S. Global Change Research Program has been doing its job. By 1997, they determined that humans are very likely affecting the Earth's climate. And by the year 2000, scientific organizations from around the world began advising governments that immediate action is needed. In recent years, these subject matter experts have all but begged our representatives to address climate change. While they've been doing their job, it seems that our government representatives, from the federal level to the local levels, have not been doing theirs. So if I put you to sleep, just give me a few more minutes and pay attention to this one, please. The decision that we make as a community is far bigger than Montgomery County. Just as we have watched to see what other communities do on the decision of wind farms, other communities are watching us too. If we say no to this, then it is that much more likely that others will say no as well. Some people say that if we say no, then they will go somewhere else and we'll lose out on this opportunity. But my biggest fear is that as more and more Americans are being persuaded by the anti-wind farm groups, by their lies and misleading statements regarding health and safety hazards, by their misinformation on noise, contamination, and property values, by their exaggerations and disingenuous concern over impacts to wildlife, clean groundwater, and mining contamination. Because of all this inaccurate information about wind farms and climate change, what I fear the most is that wind farms will find fewer and fewer places where they are welcome. And that would be devastating for our very real struggle. Once again, disingenuous. That would be devastating for our very real struggle against man-made climate change. This isn't hyperbole. This is the situation that everybody is trying to avoid talking about. Complaining about not wanting to look at them is understandable, but it is not an option. This is something that we need to do as a community, not because of the millions of dollars that it will generate, not because of the importance that it has for the future of our economic development. That's great, and it may be why some people are willing to do it, but it's not the main reason. We need to do this because we cannot solve the problem of climate change unless we change the way we think as a local community. This problem isn't out there waiting for the federal government to solve it. It's right here in Montgomery County, and we need to lead by example. Thank you for all of your time.
Well, anybody else?
My name is Darren Eddy. I live at 108 North Grant here in Crawfordsville. Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to speak. This is a difficult topic for me, as I do support zoning. I do believe it can do a lot of good, but this particular ordinance is discrimination, like I said. In the last meeting, Mr. Fry asked Mr. Taylor if this ordinance reflects the comp plan. Mr. Taylor said, yes, it does. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that this is not true. The comp plan lists 9 things the county opposes for development, yet this ordinance only addresses one of them. If this ordinance reflects the comp plan, Shouldn't it address all 9 items on that list? I had a conversation with Michelle a couple weeks ago that really resonated with me. For those of you that don't know her, she's very laid back and very quiet. She doesn't like to rock the boat. She doesn't want to start a rumble or a confrontation. She's seen how much I've been attacked, and she doesn't want to be persecuted for what she says. Her response was, I am the will of the people. I just want what's best for the community. That is your majority. That is why only 700 people out of 35,000 plus county residents participated in that survey. That's less than 1% of our county. How is turning away $40 million in revenue good for the community? There are so many things our community needs. A few examples: rural broadband internet and daycare facilities. The revenue from this project can help things like that. My son Austin, who will be a freshman at Crawfordsville High School next year, couldn't be here tonight because he's with his mom in Georgia for the summer. He lived with my parents for a year and a half before he moved here. I asked him what he thought of living around windmills. He was a 5th grader at the time, hundreds of miles from his home. It was hard for him. When things would get tough for him, he would ride his bike out to the country and watch the windmills. It helped him relax and unwind. My daughter, who will be attending Nicholson next year, always knows when we are almost to Grandma and Grandpa's when she sees the windmills. I work for the state and had to go on a road service call yesterday to the Wabash River Bridge on 74. On my way back to the shop, I was looking around at the scenery. Yes, it's beautiful, but nothing stands out. You can go just about anywhere and see beautiful scenery. I took Austin down to his mom's last weekend, and the things I remember when I travel are the things that stand out. Like Churchill Downs and the Jim Beam Distillery in Louisville, Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky, Lookout Mountain in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Guido Gardens in Metter, Georgia. When I'm traveling, I'm more likely to stop at places like that. As you all know, I grew up in Spearville. When people would ask where I'm from and I tell them, their response was, what's that close to? Because they had no idea where it was. Well, it's 17 miles east of Dodge City. Oh, I know that place. Wyatt Earp, Gunsmoke. Now when I tell people I grew up in Spearville, they know where it's at, because that wind farm put them on the map. Google it sometime. They have travel blogs, write about it, and take pictures, take and post pictures. My dad and uncle have been in several videos. A picture of my uncle cutting wheat next to a windmill was published in papers all across Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. That is a lot of publicity for a small town. You can't buy that kind of publicity. When I tell people I live in Crawfordsville, Indiana, I get the same response. What's that close to? No one knows who we are. We need something to put us on the map. Do we really want to be known as a no community? What kind of message does that send to future developers? This is a golden opportunity. I say let's be the idiots in the middle. Like it or not, renewable energy is the future. Companies like NIPSCO are phasing out their coal plants and investing in clean energy. Kansas City Power and Light, Westar, and Duke, all energy companies, own turbines in Spearville. More companies are purchasing wind power. Wind energy is now more affordable than ever. Apex Roaming Bison is ready to proceed with $0 of government money and funding and assistance. We need to show the world that we care about the environment. I mentioned my kids earlier. That's who I'm doing this for. I want them to inherit a clean environment, not a polluted one. So let's show everyone that we are a yes community and want to invest in the future, not a no community that wants to live in the past. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Parker. I'm at 343 East 800 North, Crawfordsville. I come to you today, and first of all, I want to say thank you. Good job. I want this ordinance. I want what you guys have done. This needs to pass. Some people probably aren't aware that different things happen when you have a comprehensive plan. You have the opportunities to get government funding. Talking about money coming into our county. Comprehensive plan will also attract businesses. We're looking for business. We're looking for multiple jobs. We're looking for multiple locations that we can enhance our county. Windmills is enough to get us there. I've been working with windmills for a number of years. We need to get businesses to our county. They will not come if you don't have a comprehensive plan. We need jobs, we need people, and we need those businesses moving here to grow our economy. Tippecanoe County said no to the windmills. There's a reason for that. We need to take heed of what they already know. Anybody that has driven up 65 through Denton and White County up through there know exactly what I'm talking about. We don't want our counties to be like that. Our county is a nice, quiet county that we enjoy to live in. Thank you for your time.
Mark Barclay, 3215 West, just highway number 6 Carlton. I don't want this all just be about windmills. Obviously, if you can't tell for sure, I'm sorry. I've heard some of the numbers that were put out. 1,700 people was for something or they were against something. But again, out of 35,000, 40,000 people, that's not very big number. I heard somebody talking about helicopters, no crop testing, and no Wi-Fi. Talked to a lady that runs the service out of Indiana. She said actually some of the rural areas having these access roads give them another place to land. That's not always a negative, it can't be positive. Crop dusting can turn those towers off in less than 2 minutes. They'll fly around, so that's again not an issue. The lights flashing, that can be disturbing. Right now they're doing some studies on they can either turn them all off and have a perimeter. That's already happening in places now. They're working with FAA to do transponders so that all the lights are off the only one the plane comes close. So there's a lot of technology coming into play that can do away with a lot of things people are talking about to be an issue. I talked to a friend of mine that lives outside Benton Central High School, and what's on that original about an area dying, Benton County was already dying people. People were leaving before the windmills came, so the population decrease in Benton County was not because of windmills. He said that he had a kid that was just in the freshman year going into school and their program was being cut. They can't fund the teachers, they can't fund their different things they want to do. He now has 3 girls, I think he said one graduated, now has 3 girls that went to Benton Central. He said since the windmills have come, they now have extra teachers, they have more classes, and they have more opportunity. So it's not always a detriment, they have helped Benton County. But the real reason I'm going to be up here today is because you guys are up here more with the comprehensive plan and the zoning issue. 2.04, talking about agriculture district. The district designated for agriculture, A, is intended for areas that cannot feasibly be served with public water and sewer facilities. This district will preserve and protect agricultural land from undesirable urban growth while permitting limited residential development. Large sites will also provide adequate space, private water and sewage facility. So the first time somebody else come in and put sewer out there, that means they'll lose control of my ground. That's what you're saying here. When you do that, that means somebody else coming and develop it. That I can't develop today without coming to somebody and asking permission. That's not fair, guys. I'm paying the mortgage, I'm paying the taxes, I'm maintaining my property, I invested in it. This is not helping the county. I have talked to some businesses, small businesses, that they say we will come to Montgomery County without zoning or with zoning either way. They want to talk to individuals, they will talk to people privately. That's the other thing, your ordinance in here is almost unworkable. A business comes in, notifies everybody within 5 miles, within 45 days, and gets it in the court and records it. Come on, people, that can't be done. You're aiming this at one industry. Do not put something like this. That's going to make Montgomery County a laughing stock around the state. The state commerce, Chamber of Commerce doesn't like this the way it's written. If you're going to do it correctly. Don't do it aimed at one company only or one industry only. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for your work. My name is Rich Watkins, I'm Sugar Creek Township. I'm opposed to industrial wind turbines. Wind turbines are destructive. They're destructive to families, homes, communities, friendships, wildlife, ecosystems, wildlife habitat, aquifers, forests, woods, the welfare of the poor, and the medically weak. and they cause the weak unneeded stress. The ill-conceived notion of wind-driven energy is a fancy pipe dream of those who want to believe it will all work to correct the problems mankind is believed to have caused. Many leaders and citizens have been duped into believing that wind energy is the solution to a problem they were duped into believing existed. Many leaders have bought into this mess thinking wind turbines would be a corrective measure. There are groups of people in many counties, states, and countries all over the world pushing back against industrial wind turbines. Many are pushing back before the turbines get built, like here in Montgomery County. Many are pushing back after wind farms were built to stop further development, after finding out the hard way that the destructive prophecies came true. Yet some went in too far with green energy plans, only to find out the wind and sun can only be harnessed part of the time. Misguided political leaders and dreamers have started up this worldwide wind and solar mess. Montgomery County leaders need to step up and stop this looming disaster before it goes any farther in Montgomery County. If industrial wind turbines continue on in our county, it will be too late to stop the destruction here in this county. Action is needed by our leaders to stop industrial wind now. Thank you.
Teresa Buckles, my address is 7212 West, 974 Wingate. First of all, I'd like to say that my husband and I are the proud owners of solar panels, that alternative energy. We have, for the most part, paid only the meter fee. Yes, we paid a few months when we had so many months that were cloudy and rainy, but we are very happy with what we purchased, and we back it like we back the wind. We are in favor of it. I would like to also say, on page 20 of this ordinance, I was disappointed to see all the rules and regulations against wind and nothing else. I didn't see anything in here addressing industrial animal operations. I have past experience living downwind from Pullman hog farms. The aftermath of spill after spill after spill, fish kill, these should be addressed as well. Don't just pick on me. There's nothing in here about landfills. One of these days, we may have to come to where every county takes care of their own waste. Wouldn't that be awful? I've been recycling for decades, and I am proud of it. I don't know what it's going to take to get everybody on board with the fact that we have to take care of our own mess. I want electricity just like the next person. I want to be able to fly off to some foreign land if I desire and have the money. I want to jump in my car and go somewhere when I want. But we're going to have to all learn that we've got to learn to live within our means. And we are going to face dilemmas down the road, even if we escape the global warming and climate changes, which I would love to be wrong about that, but I'm afraid I'm not. We need to pay attention to what we're doing. If we continue to use coal, we all know that coal ash pits are leaching cancer-causing chemicals into the ground. It's not going to magically disappear. It gives people cancer. I don't want to have problems with infrasound. I sure don't want cancer. So, in light of all this, please time for cooperation, for give and take on both sides. Slow down and let's compromise. This is too big of an issue. It's too emotional, it's too expensive, it's too controversial. Please, let us vote on this. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Howell. I live at 4019 West US Highway 136 in Crawfordsville. We are fortunate to live in a place that has great natural beauty, abundant wildlife, low unemployment rates, culture, and industry. People travel here from all over to vacation and recreate here. They see that it is special. I do too. Montgomery County, with its population of over 38,000 people and a population density of 76 people per square mile, is not an area conducive to industrial wind turbines. Even if you ignore the fact that the majority of the residents do not want them here, it is simply too densely populated. Montgomery County has been growing steadily since it was established in 1822. This in itself indicates that Montgomery County has been a desirable place to live for almost 200 years. I believe when you factor in the location of Montgomery County to Indianapolis, Lafayette, and Chicago, as well as the close proximity to the neighboring state of Illinois, which is currently experiencing a mass exodus of residents, Montgomery County will continue to grow because desirable places to live that are affordable are hard to come by. The next 200 years are up to us. Do we want to turn Montgomery County into an industrial wasteland? To drive current and future residents and tourists away with industrial wind turbines placed by limited liability corporations with no long-term interest here? Or do we protect it? Some may ask what industrial wind turbines could do for the future of Montgomery County. For that, I will go north to Benton County, Indiana. Benton County, with a population of only 8,700 people and 21 inhabitants per square mile, has a great number of industrial wind turbines. I have been through there frequently before industrial wind turbines came and after. I have seen the shadow flicker on the land and have heard the sound from the turbines. I've read the stories of private wells ruined. After all this, little has changed in Benton County. Population continues to decline. There is still very little industry, not many restaurants, or even gas stations. I have not seen the great renaissance promised to Benton County residents, just a bleak landscape. People continue to leave Benton County, no one is flocking there. Montgomery County has a proud past and a promising future without industrial wind turbines. We must preserve and protect this great county, this treasure. Tonight, I ask for you to do what it takes to stop industrial wind turbines. Our future depends on it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Teresa Gaylor of 409 West Washington Street in Richmond, Indiana. Something that I'm not hearing much of is these wind turbines are going to be twice as tall as any other around here. And I cannot picture looking at those monsters and I'm wondering what kind of sound those are going to create with those large blades. And I haven't heard anybody talk much about that. And it scares me. And I'm opposed to wind turbines. And I think there's too many people here populating the area. And what is it going to do for our water table? How far do they have to go down with the concrete? Where do they run the lines? There's a lot there. And I find it frightening. And I've got grandkids and kids that I'd like to see them have this beautiful land, farmland. I don't want it destroyed. And I do think something needs to be done, possibly for the warming and all like that. But I don't think these 600 feet turbines in a populated area are a good idea. That's my fear. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name's Dan Brewer. I live at 1293 North 150 East, Crawfordsville. Let me see if I can take everybody off in the room. I absolutely am completely opposed to zoning. I don't care, wait a minute, I gotta clean this up. This is my father's expression, a rat's backside about the argument over wind turbines. What I am opposed to is that 3 or 5 people who don't pay my taxes will be allowed to tell me what I may or may not do with my land.
Hear, hear.
If you want to build a wind turbine, build the damn thing. I don't care. Now, if you don't want one, don't build one. I, again, don't care. But don't tell me that I'm going to have a law with some group of people who may or may not like me, telling me what I can do with what I pay taxes on. My father used to say, the only land you own is that 6 feet of earth in the cemetery. The rest of it you rent from the county. And that's true. Now, if we put zoning in, we already have a comprehensive plan that's going to, I went to the meeting, I went to 2 meetings for the, on the comprehensive plan, and all I heard was land use, land use, land use. Well, we're going to classify land as primary farmland, and secondary farmland, and tertiary farmland. And what will happen is then, zoning will come in, and when the commissioners decide that they want this, that, or the other, they will use eminent domain, which will be financed and facilitated by the zoning law to take your land and do whatever they want to do with it. They will